Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven, and this is the Storytime channel. Today we have some I Don't Work Here Lady stories, and our first story of the day is by Gravemind9, my first experience with this kind of Karen. First, a description of what I look like. I am short, thin, and look like I'm in my teens. I'm not, I'm 24. Wearing a big gray coat with a green shirt underneath and blue jeans. Also using my red wireless headphones and wearing a mask with skulls printed on it. I'm at my local grocery store where the uniform is dark red with orange highlights, so I look nothing like them. I was looking at one of the shelves seeing what snacks and drinks they have, when out of nowhere, my headphones are ripped off my head and a Karen is there, and I get ready for a fight. The Karen says, "Excuse me, I've been trying to get your attention for 5 minutes." She could have, but like I said, headphones. I say, "Is there a problem, miss?" "I've been looking for kitchenware everywhere and can't find it and…" I say, "Wait, you think I work here?" "Yes, you teens always have jobs in these sorts of places." I sigh heavily again. My shortness is a burden. I say, "I mean, you're not wrong about teens working here, but not only do I not work here, I'm not a teen. Now give me my headphones back." I reach for my headphones. "No, you're going to take me to get what I want, then you'll get your headphones." I say, "Lady, look, I don't work here, I work at home. You can't just take something that doesn't belong to you if you want help." I suggest looking for someone wearing the uniform, though I doubt they'd help you because of how rude you are. "How dare you speak?" "How dare you think it's okay to invade my personal space? How dare you think it's okay to take my property? And how dare you assume people will do as you say? That might work for kids, but not a 24-year-old man who just came out for the first time in a week after dealing with a family pet dying." That last one wasn't necessary, but I was so pissed that my trip out was ruined that it slipped out. Rest in peace to my cat, 11 years of fun. I snatch my headphones back, leaving her speechless. "Go look for someone wearing red and orange. That's what the staff here wear." And with that, I grabbed my things and left as a staff member turned the corner. I told her to turn and run back the way she came. There's a Karen back there. So this was the end of my story. I started laughing on the way home about how ridiculous the whole thing was. If you found yourself in a situation like this where the Karen grabs one of your belongings and tries to hold it hostage like that, would you just calm down and try and help her out? Or would you not be afraid to get a little bit more verbal and demand that they give you your stuff back? Let me know in the comments down below what you think is the right way to handle it. Our next story is by Solara001, pretended to be an employee to shut Karen down, worked, and pick up a date, failed. So this happened years ago, but it still makes me smile, so maybe it will make someone else out there smile. One day, I walked into my local department store and immediately could hear the insane squawking of an active Karen in the wild. An older woman was in the aisle in my path yelling at an employee who looked like he might be a manager. He was. She was pointing to another man who was quite obviously not an employee, demanding that he be fired. Screeching Karen was pointing her talon-like finger at bewildered customer, demanding that shocked manager fire him for being rude to her and not helping her. Anytime shocked manager tries to say something, Screeching Karen just interrupted and kept berating them both, insisting that the customer work there and demanding he be fired. Now, I've never been accused of being shy. After hearing this exchange for a hot minute, I decided I couldn't resist the impulse to get involved. Plus, they were partially blocking my path. I stepped in between shocked manager and bewildered customer, looking at the customer and said, "Okay, you're fired. Now get your shopping cart, finish shopping, pay for your items, and get out." At the same time, I had taken him gently by the arm and led him a few feet away from the Screeching Karen circle of influence. All three of them got quiet. Nobody knew what to do or to say. After a brief pause, bewildered customer said to me quietly, I don't work here." I smiled and said softly, "Neither do I." After another brief pause, we both started laughing. Screeching Karen was no longer screeching, and shocked manager was just standing there wondering what the heck was going on. Then I asked the customer if he was single. He wasn't, but I always thought that would be a funny story to tell people if we had hooked up. And that was it. Screeching Karen shot me an angry look, but apparently she finally figured it out and skulked off. Not apologizing, of course. And the rest of us, plus a few other customers and employees that had been attracted by the Karen's shrill howling, went back to whatever we were doing before. One of them gave me a grin and a discreet thumbs up. It doesn't happen often in this subreddit where you hear quick thinking like OP had here, but this is some of the quickest thinking you can imagine. A random person knowing that the only way this Karen will calm down is to feel that they were justified, so they come up and say, "You're fired, that Karen is absolutely right." Just so the Karen can get all smug, feel satisfied or whatever, and trot off to go out and find a lemonade stand somewhere to yell about because it doesn't have a permit. This next story is by Gabby Babby. A Karen demanded that I clean the toilet. I visited my mother at work today. My mom works in an office that gives out documents for truck drivers. Before the pandemic, I used to go with her often to work to help her. The work there is hard. I was usually handing over documents for the drivers, photocopying documents, or other things. Like every employee, my mother has keys to the office staff toilets, where the drivers don't have them and have to use another paid toilet. In order not to lose money, my mother would give me these keys as it was today. My mother always told me that the women in her work were terribly messy. When you went to the toilet, there was water spilled over the sink, paper was all over the floor around the toilets, and sometimes women didn't flush the water after using the toilet. There was once a situation where a woman didn't flush the water after she pooped, but instead she stuffed the toilet with paper. When I went to the toilet, the first thing I saw were pizza boxes standing on the sink, just left by some woman. I asked myself, how can you be such a person to leave something like that? I hate mess. It's just that when I see something being messed up, I can't walk past it, and I just clean it up. So I took those pizza boxes, folded them up, and threw them in the trash. And then I saw that there was a big puddle of water on the floor. Great! I took the paper and started wiping it up. Then a woman came into the toilet. She walked past me, ignoring me. I had not even finished wiping the floor when the woman shouted, "There's no paper!" I knew what a problem it was when you went to the bathroom and there was no paper. Hold on. I took the roll of toilet paper and threw it into the toilet cubicle where it was and went back to mopping the floor. When the woman came out, she immediately approached me. "Start doing your job seriously." "Excuse me?" "You should make sure that there's toilet paper in every cubicle." "I don't work here." "You do, otherwise why would you be wiping the floor?" "Because there was a puddle of water." "And why are you wiping it?" "Because women like you make a mess and leave it for the cleaners to clean up later." "That's what cleaners like you are for. By the way, wipe around the toilet, it's dirty there." I looked at her. I was mad. I don't work here, and even if I do, it doesn't give you the right to humiliate me or anyone else. If there wasn't any cleaners, you'd be walking around with a poop-covered butt. I threw the paper in the bin and left. I felt the woman grab my jacket. I turned rapidly towards her. "Don't touch me with your dirty hands. I didn't hear you flush the toilet. You are disgusting." The woman was shocked. I fixed my jacket and left the toilet. Later, I told it to my mother what had happened. She was proud of me for doing that. Ladies, please respect the work of others. I know custodial staff is not the most premier job or the most high-paying, but that doesn't mean you can just treat them like they're your personal butlers or like they're absolutely beneath you. People like this Karen make me wish I could just knock them down a few pegs somehow. It's really satisfying that OP was able to turn around to their face and tell them how disgusting they were. This next story is by Wyatt Kelly, the entitled mom that I broke with a song and dance. It has been a while since I've been mistaken for working at another market. For a while, it seemed like every other month I'd be in a store, shopping comfortably, and someone would come out of the woodwork and demand help, recognizing me from Failmart. But with the COVID-19 crisis and the institution of masks, I've been happily incognito wherever I've gone in search of better prices and selections from the cult of Sam. At Failmart, I moved to another position from the pharmacy and now work the door, handing out masks and wiping down carts. It's a terrible job, but I'm making more money doing this than any other job, so figure that one out. I've also changed my look. I am no longer a rock and roll yeti with long hair and band t-shirts, but dressed more like a respectable member of society. I have discovered I'm quite the clothes horse. A fancy wool overcoat, a green vintage army jacket, a leather biker jacket, whatever I feel like tossing on that day. hats, different shoes, various different pants. The point I'm making is I do not look like my Failmart alter ego when I'm out and about. I wear a black ball cap, a black faux military coat, and a name tag. I wear this day in and day out, but never in my civilian life. With the addition of the mask, it's difficult for the customers to recognize me. However, big snowstorm heading into my area, forecasting a foot of snow and sub-zero temperatures. I decide to forego shopping at my home store and head off to another superstore in the area. In search of propane, ice melt, batteries, the usual prepper stuff I try to lay in when it's possible I'm going to be snowed in for a few days. Got my cart, listening to the in-store music playing, the same tired 70s and 80s inoffensive fluff they always do, and it happens. I pause to grab a bottle of hot sauce, and the much-feared call of the entitled customer, "Hey you!" Nope, not me, can't be calling for me. I'm in a wool coat and a stylish Stetson. I am not working. Whistle. Ah crap, she actually whistled at me. I turned with dread and yep, there she is. One of my Failmart customers and one of the more infamous ones to boot. Let me describe this woman. She's basically spherical, a screwed up angry face, beady eyes, and has a habit of wearing stained sweats no matter what the weather. She comes in a Failmart and demands an electric cart and will get extremely huffy if none are available. I have to run my butt ragged trying to meet her demands and never get a thank you. Her daughter once stole someone's cart for her from the bathroom area, but that's a story for another thread. So she's straining the store's electric cart, leaning over the handlebars and glaring at me. For once, her devil spawn are not with her.
Took you darned long enough. Get me a 40-pound bag of rock salt now. I want to get home before the snow.
Now, since I have a lot of time to think at Failmart, I sometimes amuse myself by making up little songs. Anything to make myself giggle and keep my mind off of my soul-sucking job. I glare at the woman, take a deep breath, and off to the races we go. To the tune of the Oogie Boogie song from Nightmare Before Christmas. You're joking. You're joking. I can't believe my ears. You're joking. You're joking. You think that I work here? Look at me, dear lady. Tell me what you see. I've got no darn name tag, so please just let me be. I start doing a soft shoe dance in my boots, slowly turning about, arms akimbo, showing off my non-Failmart attire. She's now staring at me like I've suddenly grown an extra head and it's making googly faces at her. I don't know why you're thinking that I help all that I can, but for now between you and me, I'm not the Failmart man. I grab my cart, spin it around like it's Ginger Rogers, and skip off down the aisle, singing, "You're joking. You're joking." I glance a look over my shoulder right before I took the turn, and she was still sitting there, mouth agape. I couldn't stop grinning the rest of my trip. I must admit that this story right here is probably the most tasking story I've ever read on any of the stories I've read on the Storytime channel. I've attempted speaking in entirely different languages at sometimes doesn't really compare to trying to match up to Oogie Boogie's song. And our final story of the day is by PP Good Storytime 20. Nice old lady gets help, mean old lady gets arrested. I'll start with some background information. I'm about 6 feet tall, have long hair for a guy, and I'm about 16 years old and am apparently an old people magnet in stores. I'll be referring to the Karen as mean old lady. Okay, so today was a strange day. I was just studying my test for tomorrow when I realized that I ran out of snacks. It was about 10 a.m. at that time, so I figured I'd just go to the big chain store a few blocks away from my house. Looking back, I should have known most old people shop at those hours in my hometown, but I was just hungry for snacks. I am not really scary, but because of my purple jacket, black pants and man bun and earphones in blasting rap music, I didn't really look like an employee, or so I thought. I was just browsing the store to find some snacks and maybe something for dinner that day. As I ducked to search between the salted nuts for a decent-looking bag, I felt a hard tap on my shoulder. I turned my music off and turned around, only to see a nice old lady asking me if I could help her. I always get asked to help by old ladies. I don't know why, but they always seem to like me. So I say, sure, what can I help with? She says that she wants a microwave, but she can't lift it into her cart. I tell her that I will come with her so I can help. I already had everything I needed now, so I just tag along with the nice lady and help her with putting it in her cart and onto the belt. I kept talking to the nice old lady and she asked me why I was so nice to her. So I say that I just try to help elderly people when I can. She tried to pay for my snacks too, but I rejected her offer because I had my card ready already. When I put her microwave in her trunk, she slid a €10 bill into my hand and said it was good to see that some people still behave well. After the nice old lady drives off, I realized that I forgot to buy potatoes for dinner, so I ran home, dropped everything off, and went back in. This time was less wholesome. I entered the store and went immediately to the potatoes. I tried looking for the best bag because the Cane was known for their potatoes that have more black spots than any other store, so I find a nice bag of good-looking big potatoes. As I am lifting the big bag onto my cart, I hear a groan and tapping of a shoe on the tiled floor. So, thinking that I was standing in the way, I try to move aside, but the mean old lady isn't having it. She starts to groan even louder. Knowing that I freaked up, I turned around and guess what I see? A not-so-nice-looking old lady. She was probably around 60 but was wearing clothes a 20-year-old would wear, and I'm talking a crop top and light blue jeans 3 sizes too small with sandals on, and of course she had the haircut but more gray than blonde. I try not to judge anyone, but she was on another level. She loudly said, "Finally, I've been trying to get your attention for at least 5 minutes now." I say, "Sorry, I wasn't paying attention." She then started screaming at me about how she demands me, not asking, but demanding, that I would help her put her stuff in her car after she pays for it. I tell her that I am not going to do it because she screamed at me. She then says, "You have no choice, you have to, it's your job. I saw you outside helping the other lady 15 minutes ago." I tell her, first of all, I am not an employee here, and second of all, if I was, I'd decline to help you due to your behavior against me just now. Then I try to walk away, but she now is in alpha Karen mode, so she tries to push me aside. She was kind of on the bigger side, so her push with all force kinda was harder than I expected. I ended up tripping over a tile that sticks out partially and faceplant into the aisle next to me. The Karen, knowing what she did, screamed, No, don't touch me." I was completely stunned by her actions, so I didn't know what to say. So an employee arrives and she starts crying and telling him her lies while they walk to the closest bench so she can sit to rest after being jumped. I try to get back up myself, but due to my bad landing, I managed to hurt my back and couldn't balance myself properly. So I just decided to lay down and wait until someone arrives. Luckily, an old man saw everything and came up to me to help me up. I said that I can wait and that I didn't want him to hurt his back helping me up, but the old guy wasn't taking no for an answer. He just picked me up gently and gave me his cane to lean on and giggled, "My wife makes me use it just in case, but I don't need it now." As soon as I thank him, the manager arrives with a not-so-happy look, until he sees me barely being able to stand and the old man. He asks me what happened and I tell him my story, and the old guy backs me up. He then said to me that the police are already on their way and that we can stay in his office until they get there. As soon as we hear sirens, I feel scared. I am an underage boy with a man bun and am being accused of assaulting an old lady, so in my head, my life is over. I am trying not to puke out of stress while we wait. After mean old lady did her story and said I should be fired to the police because, yeah, the police can fire me from a store I don't work at, they come to me and start asking me questions. The old guy is still with us and getting bored, just says Jim, apparently the manager's name, just show them the camera footage instead of wasting this kid's time. The manager says, "Okay, here," and turns a screen to show us the entire thing on security footage. I was so relieved to know that I had proof now. After 10 minutes, he asks if I would like to press charges. I said I'll contact him with my parents later. He gives me his details and we walk out. Me too, but slowly. The officer then cuffs the mean old lady and she keeps screaming all the way to the car. The old man said he was the manager's old supervisor and was also shopping for dinner that day when he noticed Karen bullying customers. We laughed a little bit and I ended up buying his groceries as a thank you for helping me, and I'm now in the hospital waiting for the results, but they think my back will be fine. Was it worth it? Probably not. Was it on purpose? Probably not. Did she deserve it? Definitely. I may be the a-hole for not helping an elderly lady, but she was well capable of it if she can push me to the floor. All I can really say is if you ended up in the hospital, you should absolutely press charges against this lady. I don't care who you are, I don't care how old you are, you don't have a right to go around pushing somebody. And it legitimately injured OP, that's not okay. I hope OP and their family does pursue it. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, and if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So, until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.